What's up everyone, Andy Cantu here from Lex Travel Hacks. Today I want to show you how to earn 1 million points in 2024. These are points that are going to change your travel lifestyle for the better if you do it right, so let's get right into it. Basically I want to start by talking about what are the right cards to get in 2024, why they're the right cards to begin with, and how to fill in gaps by maximizing other important pieces of the game. So first off, off the bat, the right cards equals cards that earn transferable points, not cashback, not fake travel rewards cards, like Wells Fargo or Bank of America or some credit union cards or anything like that. Basically, cards that only earn transferable currencies. These are things like Chase Ultimate Rewards, AMEX membership rewards, Capital One rewards, I think they're just called, Citi thank you points, things like that. These are all transferable to a lot of different airlines and hotels, and that really allows you to explore the max potential of these points and get crazy luxury travel value out of them. Cashback and fake travel rewards will really limit your potential and leave you unable to get like crazy value that we're going to talk about at the end of this video. I'll go over exactly what these points are worth and why you should care, basically. So let's get into it. We're going to start with 5 credit cards that I think you should get in this order. Very, very important to get you on the way to your million point goal. So we'll start here. This is the Chase Sapphire Preferred. You can see it earns 60,000 points. People have reported in branch it earns 70,000 with a little bit more spend. You have to spend $4,000 in the first 3 months. Basically, you can ignore here what it says. That's $750 toward travel. In reality, these points are worth way more. I'm going to show you what I mean by that. And of course, this is a great card because it earns, category multipliers on dining, on grocery purchases, on travel like Ubers and parking and tolls and things like that. So lots of good reasons to have this card. This is number 1. I'm going to go through them kind of quickly, give you like kind of the surface level benefits and stuff, I think, why they matter, and then we'll tally it all up at the end. The next one in order is the AMEX Gold. This is the personal gold. AMEX has gold and platinums in personal and business versions, so this is the personal version. I want to touch on something about AMEX specifically, which is you might see here it earns 60,000 points, right? After you spend $6,000. $6,000 in 6 months, but Amex does this thing where if you can take the same link and you can look at it on incognito mode or private browsing mode. Different browsers call it different things. You can look at it on a mobile phone versus like your laptop and find wildly different points values. People have been reporting in our group seeing 90,000 for this. Some see 75,000, some see this 60. So we're going to use the bare minimum to calculate for this video, which is the 60 that the whole world can see pretty easily. But just know when you're going through this, it is highly advisable that you play around with different combos, different browsers, your phone, your laptop, private browsing, not private, and see if you can extract some extra points for the same amount of spend. They're just giving you free points and free money, basically. So, and that's something specific to Amex. Chase doesn't have that game to it. So anyway, a great daily card. It is probably the best daily card to have. 4x points on restaurants, 4x on groceries. Those are really the 2 strong things. So that's definitely the next one on the list. Next would be this one, the Chase Inc. Business Preferred. This is a card that normally is $15,000 of spend required in the first 3 months to get the 100,000 points. For a little while now, a few months, it's been 8,000 instead, so it's a great time to get this card. If you don't have a business, you can still apply for this card as a sole proprietor using your social security. So basically, there's no one that can't get this card, and as long as you fill out the application the correct way and all that. So it's a great card for everyone to have. It's a card that stays off of your personal credit report so that you don't have to worry about if you do need to max it out for an emergency or if you need to use the money to invest in something or pay for actual business expenses and then pay them back a little later. This is a great candidate for that, as are most business cards. This also has great category bonuses that will that can benefit you a lot depending on the situation you're in. Shipping, advertising. It has a similar travel category to the Sapphire, which was the first one. So a great card to have regardless, and pretty cheap. It's a $95 annual fee. So great card. Big bonus, and currently relatively low spend for what is normally a much higher spend card. So moving on. The Amex Platinum, again, the personal one, not the business one. It is an expensive card. In other videos, I talk about how to basically directly and indirectly reduce that cost. So it's It is high, but it's something that's usually necessary in this game, at least for one or two of the cards. If you looked at the other cards, they were either 95 or a couple hundred, so not like massive costs and a lot of benefits to them, including points and bonuses and stuff like that. But this specific card is expensive, but it has the best lounge network in my opinion. It has the best everything. It earns, in terms of like lounge access at least, it earns 5x points on flights. So it's a great card to have. Currently 80,000. This is another one where again we've seen 100, 125k for the same spend, $8,000 of spend in your first 6 months. So play with it as you're going through this list. Remember, this list is in order for lots of reasons. Chase's 524 rule is one of them. If you don't know what that is, definitely learn about it as soon as you can before you go through this process. It makes the difference. So this is a great card to have as well. And lastly, for the 5 cards we're going through in order is the Chase Inc. Business Unlimited. No annual fee, so great for that. Also stays off your personal report and is a business card. Something I want to talk about here, this used to also be more expensive, 7,500 of spend, right now 6. So very reasonable for the amount of bonus you're going to get. But you might notice something that's weird here, which is that it says 750 bonus cashback, right? And of course I'm saying avoid cashback cards and all this stuff. So you're like, why are you recommending this card? The reason is Chase has a concept, and some other currencies do as well, but Chase specifically, where you can basically unlock these cashback points. So the way it works is you're going to earn 75,000 points when you get this bonus. They're only redeemable for cashback unless you have one of the other premium cards, which is like the Sapphire or like the Inc. Business Preferred that we talked about at the beginning. So if you own one of those, you can transfer these 75k cashback only points into one of those cards online instantly. It's super easy. And then they basically become good transferable points. So in reality, what this means is this is a 75,000 bonus. So that's how it works. On the surface, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but once you know you can unlock them, then this is just as good as all the other cards we've been talking about. And again, the no annual fee thing is pretty cool. Also, this one tends to have, it probably does right now as well. Let's see, 0% APR. I just need to find it. Right here, 0% intro APR for the first 12 months. So pretty cool, especially if you're using it for actual business purposes, or even if you can find a way in your personal life to take advantage of the, the credit that they're giving you here in an intelligent way, then this is a way to do it for absolutely free. And credit cards are normally free for the first, like your first cycle, like every month, if you use it correctly, it should be free, interest free. But this allows you to do that for 12 whole months. So, and at no annual fee, that's a really good deal. So anyway, these are the 5 cards in that order, starting with the Sapphire. Let's tally it all up. I already had a number here written down. If you include the spend, in other words, you get the 60,000 points, but you're also going to earn 1 point per dollar on the 4,000, or whatever the spend requirement is on each one, right? So like in this case, you'd earn 64 minimum when you hit it. This doesn't count if some of your spend was on 2x or 3x or 3x on this or 3x on the other. Those would earn obviously not 1x per dollar, but 3x, right? So you'll have more than 64k in that scenario. But let's just use the baseline numbers. I tallied up all the baseline numbers for all of them. It's 407,000 points total, just hitting the minimums on all these things, not counting the category bonuses. And by the way, these category bonuses can be easily worth 40, 50, sometimes a lot more, 1,000 extra points a year. It just depends like what you spend on, how much you spend. You have a big family, if you're one person, if you have an actual business, if you don't, like all this stuff adds up to being wildly different. But yeah, so also I want to talk about application rules between these cards, right? So I've said that it's in order. You should, in theory, wait 30 or 45 days between applications if they're in the same bank. So like if you wanted to get the top 3 first, the Sapphire, the AMEX Gold, the Inc. The Sapphire and the Inc. you should probably wait 30 or 45 days between. It's just better. You don't want to be seen as like abusive or anything like that, where they might question your account or flag you or anything like that. So generally that's the rule. When they're the same bank, like the Sapphire and the AMEX Gold, for example, you can get these the same day if you wanted to. The biggest thing is make sure that you can hit the bonus, of course, right? Like if you need to spend 4K in 3 months and 6K in 6 months, I mean, those are different periods. So just kind of think about it and be like, okay, well, my average spend is, let's just say, a good average spend is probably 2 or 3 or 4K a month of like your normal everyday spend between groceries and food and payments you make and bills and insurance and stuff. So if you're around there, generally you can do 2 bonuses at the same time, no problem. So just tally up your own spend and you can figure out if you should apply for them quickly or if you should kind of pay some a little bit further out so that you don't struggle hitting any bonuses. Because that's the worst thing, right? If you can't hit a bonus, then you miss out on a lot. So another big thing when we're talking about getting to, I talked about how this is going to get us to almost 500K just between category bonuses and spend. You can get an extra 100 or 200K a year points pretty easily if you just become the points person in your circle. And the reason is all of these cards offer referral bonuses. Sometimes it's 15K per referral you bring them, or 20, sometimes 40. So big chunks and at no risk to the other person. Like they're still going to earn a great bonus. Everything's the same. The only difference is they clicked using your link. And now you also made 20K points, 30, 40, whatever. So if you can normally do like 2 or 3 of those per card, right? So if you become that person in your circle where everyone's wondering like, oh, ask Andy, he knows what card's next or whatever. Like he's been playing this game for a while. We don't know anything about it. So let's just ask him. And you can start kind of organically getting people to come to you and ask you. And then you give them your referral links. Everyone wins. And all of a sudden you're making an extra 100 or 200K points a year. So just that by itself, we're talking about, we could already get to like 700K points a year. The idea is to not have to open a ton of cards, but when you're first starting and you want to get to your first million, this is kind of the process. So that gets you, let's just say, to the 600 or 700K mark. We still have to make it all the way to a million. The easiest way to do this by far is to play in 2-player mode. And basically that means play the game with someone else. It could be a spouse, a friend, family member, literally a business partner, a colleague even, like that you trust a lot, obviously, because if you're going to be sharing points and stuff like that. So that is the best way to do it. And generally the route is for the second player or the second person to follow the same exact list. So these 5 cards, they can do it either simultaneously with their own spend. You guys can do 5 and then start again from scratch the other 5 with the other person and contribute to the spend together, whatever combination you want to do. But that basic, and same with referrals. Again, you have now new caps of referrals because you can do 2 or 3 per card and so can they. And all of a sudden you're able to generate like 1.2, 3, 4, even 1.5 million points your first year doing this. With very average, couple grand or a few grand a month spend type thing. The more you have, the better, of course. But like if you're around that range, you can make this work, especially with a P2, and get to 7 figures of points pretty quickly, which is amazing. So only other thing I want to touch on about player 2 mode is that combining points can sometimes be a little tricky. So I'll talk about it briefly for the 2 major currencies. For Chase, it's very simple. Especially if you share an address, you're in the same household, you can just call Chase and say, hey, my spouse, my friend, family member, whatever, we share this address. I want to add them as a household member. And they'll add them and you'll be able to combine points instantly online. So all of a sudden you have this one big pool. With AMEX, it's a little bit more difficult. You have to add each other as authorized users, or at least in one direction. And the person who is authorized is the person who will be able to receive points from the other person. So generally, if you're the primary points earner, you're the one that should be authorized on the other person's card so that they can transfer points into you and you can create this big pool of points, including theirs. So those are the 2 basically ways to combine points in the 2 major currencies. Other than that, it's a great strategy to use to get you to a million plus, hopefully a lot more than that. Points in 2024. So let's talk a little bit about what these points are worth. You've seen here various times it says worth $750, worth $1,000, whatever. And I'm telling you to ignore that. So I actually have a calculator on my Lux Travel Hack site. This will kind of show you different comparisons of points usage, right? So in general, when we use points, let's look at an example here. This is a real life example that we just booked. 100,000 points cost. This is a round trip business class flight. The taxes were like $600. You can't really get away from using those. And again, this is not using it on the portal the way they would want you to use it, but using it correctly, transferring them to partners and leveraging the fact that these points are transferable points, right? This is using that feature that they're giving us instead of just clicking pay with points and whatever. So anyway, real life example, flight was around $5,000. It's a round trip business class flight to Europe. This was on Air France. So Sometimes it's 4K, sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's even 3,500, but this is kind of in the middle. We can even say like, yeah, I mean, it was about 5,000. So when you redeem points through the portal the way they tell you, I'm going to switch out of here really quick. 750 toward travel when redeemed through Chase Ultimate Rewards. That means through their portal. So they're giving you not 1 cent. If you like remove a couple zeros, that'd be $600, right? 1 cent. They're giving you a little bit more, 1.1, 1.2 cents. I think this is 1.25. So that's basically bottom dollar value. We don't accept that. That's not what points are worth. They're worth way more than that. You can see in this actual example, the calculator even factors in the taxes and fees you have to pay off of the cash value. And you can see we got almost 4.4 cents per point. I need to reduce this. I don't know. We don't need all the decimal places, but 4.4 cents per point. I mean, that's almost depending on which, if it's AMEX or Chase or whatever, 3 or 4 times more value than they would give you. And you can see here, those same 100,000 points, the same $5,000 flight would require, best case scenario, using the Chase numbers that we just saw, 333,000 points for the same exact thing instead of the 100,000 that we spent in this real life example. And let's just say maybe you had a cashback card that was excellent. It was earning 2% cashback on everything, which is a pretty good rate overall. You would still have to cash out 250,000 points worth to get the same $5,000 flight. And again, this is one round trip business class flight. So if you wanted for 2 people or more, all of a sudden this becomes 600K. All of a sudden this becomes 500K instead of like the 200 over here. This would be a 2-person example. We'll double everything. You can see if you use the portal, which is the wrong way, 600 plus points, 600 plus K, and cashback, best case scenario, assuming you have a great card, 500,000. And this is all compared to the 200 using the right strategies. So this is the reality of what points are actually worth, and the reason it even matters to get to the million points number or 2 million or as many as you can possibly earn, because once you learn to use them, they are literally worth gold. You can see it's literally $10,000 of real life dollars that you save or that you get in value from doing this. And again, this is after factoring in that you still have to pay some taxes and fees because you can't really get around that. Sometimes these fees are way less. I've seen tickets that are $5 each way of fees, so $10 instead of 600, right? So this is like a real life, very average example, so I'm not hyping it up for you or anything. This is just kind of a middle ground. So anyway, that's basically all I got for you today. I just wanted to show you kind of the 5 cards I would do in order and what that means to you once you achieve that goal. Talk a little bit about player 2 mode and stuff like that. If you want to learn more about earning points, the right ones, how to use them for max value, like in this real life example I'm showing you here, you can check out all the resources in the links below. I have a full program called Lux Travel Hacks where I go A to Z and show you all of this, in a lot of detail so that you never have any doubts if what you're doing is the right move or not. So check that out, and I'll see you in first class.